How you doing, everybody? Thank you for logging on. You're obviously currently watching this on playback. I've got news of the next 8 weeks worth of videos. I'm finally at a stage where lots of the scheduled work that I had in for the year after leaving work has now kind of petered out. I've cancelled a lot of things, and the reason why I've cancelled them is so I can get out there doing much more filming. I originally quit my job a year ago to produce more YouTube videos, and now I'm producing, or I have been producing, less than I was when I was working full time, and that's because I've been so busy in other projects. And that's something that I've got news for you about right here tonight. I'm going to be giving you news about the next 8 weeks worth of videos, and there's going to be some very interesting fishing trips. So if you're watching this on playback, thank you very much, but I'm just going to give everyone who's taken the trouble, the time out to join us live. We've only been on here 58 seconds, so I'm just going to give it a little bit longer for a few people to get logged on. This was only probably a 20-minute notice that this was going to be a live stream tonight, that I was even going to go on live. So I'm not expecting too many, not initially anyway. Perhaps when a few people get the notifications, they may be available to join us, but there's a few on anyway already. That's great. So if everybody can let me know, can you just let me know that sound is all right, please, and the picture and everything, please? And then I know everything's okay for me to progress. So Andre's here. Good evening, mate. Richard's here. Adam, Biggerdike, Michael, Jack Wilmot. Hi, Jamie. Hope you're good, mate. Yes, I'm very well, thank you, Jack. Steve Norbury's here. Hi, Steve. Hope your sunburns calmed down a little bit from last week, mate. I know you had 2 days in baking hot temperatures whilst catching fish. It was great to see you, mate. Crony, evening, mate. Hope you and Dad are well. Yes, Dad is very well, thank you. He's currently making notes about something that I'm going to be giving you news about shortly, about one of the fishing films that I've got planned in a few weeks' time. So I'm going to be letting you know a little bit more about that in a moment. Yes, everything is fine. Thanks, Andre. Michael, both good. Hi, Jamie. Big Found sound is good. Thank you, Vasco. Thank you for that. Mark Richmond, good evening. Great to see so many people on. That's brilliant, especially at such short notice. Lee Simpson's here and Robert Crozier. Thank you. I'm just I'm on the coffee now. I've been looking forward to this coffee now since lunchtime. Adam Biggerdike's here. Whilst I'm going to be giving you news about the next 8 weeks of filming, I'm going to be letting you know about some of the projects and some of the matches and the events that I'm going to be taking part in, and how I plan on filming some of them for you, whether it be for this channel or whether it be for my Rough and Ready vlog real life channel, Fishing Life, that a lot of you are already subscribed to. Thank you very much. And I'll be explaining a little bit more why that channel was launched a few weeks ago, but I'll tell you more about that shortly. But if anyone's got any fishing related questions, please post them in the chat. Assuming we don't get too many people on, then I will do my very best to answer every one of them. And just before I get into tonight's business, I am actually going to be here for an hour tonight, so I'm going to be here until 8:30. So please get your questions in whilst we're live, so that I can give you honest immediate real-time reactions to and answers to your questions. So Adam, can I get a quick question in then, please, Jamie? When fishing on a river that is weedy and targeting bream and tench, etc., what type of feeder rig would you use on a slow moving river? To be quite honest, Adam, obviously we would normally go down the route of avoiding that weed wherever possible. So obviously try and find, if you are pleasure fishing, try and find an area where it is relatively weed free. And if you have, if you're not able to do that, then the initial thing that we would do is get a bomb out into the swim, preferably ones with there are some with little stumps on the side of them, if you want to call it that. There are various weed cutters or weed cutting bombs out there that you can get, and so we would obviously try and look for a clear spot. All right. Now, the problem with that is, even if you could find a clear spot, it might be too close to the bank. If it's clear water, it might be just in the wrong location. So if that isn't, if you're not able to find those clear spots, then, to be quite honest with you, probably one of the best approaches for fishing over weed feeder rig wise is a method feeder. All right. Now, it's not quite as simple as that, because you may want to feed some feed into the swim. And if you want to do that, the best thing I can say to you on that topic is really just use a cage feeder. But think that, just remember that even if you're introducing feed with a cage feeder, if you're going to let the feeder fall to the bottom, then that's going to go into the weed. And then when you empty the feeder, your feed might already be in all that weed and buried underneath it. Okay. So one of the things that we do with that is to quite simply, as we refer to it as, empty the feeder or open the feeder higher in the water. So for example, if you fill your feeder with feed, when it hits the surface of the water, or on the river in your case, when it gets near to the bottom, I mean, you've said it's slow moving, so that's not going to spread the bait too much then, is it? So even if it's a slow moving river, when the feeder say it gets to half depth, it depends on the depth of the river. When it gets to half depth, strike the feeder out, because what that's going to do is, obviously, it's going to empty the feeder, but it means all those particles of bait are going to fall under their own weight and land much gentler and softer on the weed. So then at least you're going to get some sort of covering of feed actually on top of the weed for the fish to see. All right. And then as regards actual fishing, if you fish with a method feeder, it depends on the weed and the thickness of the weed and that sort of thing. But the thing with the method feeder, the reason why that can be so effective on weedy venues is because when the feeder lands, if you're using a flatbed feeder, or an open method style feeder, then when it lands on the weed, your hook bait is presented in the middle of it. So you are actually, as long as there's not too much weed covering it up, if it's high, if the weed is really thick, as long as the feeder's not sinking too far into that weed or underneath it, then your hook bait is going to be presented on a little plate that should be clear of weed, if that makes sense. Obviously, there are other things that you can do, like try and make sure that you're using a feeder that is as light as possible, so that you're going to try and encourage it to sit on the weed or as high up the weed as you can get it, if that makes sense. And sometimes a wider feeder as well, a feeder with a wider surface area is going to be more likely to sit on the weed, whereas if it's a really narrow feeder, then it's going to be more inclined to sink into it. So that, without going into too much detail, that's probably the best way. Because the problem with weed is, even with a conventional, whether it's a free running rig or a paternoster rig or a helicopter rig, you've got the feeder going down, and then you've got a length of line which is going to be laying over weed, and that's where you can get all sorts of problems. So in a nutshell, Adam, it's usually a method feeder. Okay, hope that helps, mate. Hi Jamie, hope you're well. Yes, Stephen Armstrong's here, everybody's here. Are you going to be adding more dates to your diary for coaching sessions? I'm currently recovering from surgery and would like a session after I've recovered. If you mean one-to-one sessions, I wasn't going to at this stage, but to be quite honest, I don't want to cut them off completely. So I have got some dates on the website now. As you know, well, that's, exactly what I'm talking about. That's why you brought the question up. So yes, I am. I am going to be adding some more one-to-one dates on there. There aren't many on there now. In fact, there's 5. Let me just put that in the chat for anybody, that just in case for future reference, even if those dates now don't apply, there are going to be, in answer to your question, yes, I'm going to be adding some more dates on. The reason why I haven't been able to go too far in advance is purely because I didn't know what was going to be happening with my diary and stuff. So I didn't want to go booking days in advance, and then matches and events come up or things out of my control, which meant I'd have to cancel them. So in answer to your question, yes. And yeah, I mean, the next 8 weeks now are pretty much clear. And that's what tonight's live stream is mainly about, just letting you know what's happening. So I've just put a link to my one-to-one days there in the chat for you. And on the same web page, if you go to the catchfishingchannel.co.uk website, there are some group days on there as well. If you are referring to group days, I'm not sure if you mean one-to-one or group. We've been asked to put some more group days in there as well. Okay, and while we're on the topic, just to let you know, before we get into tonight's business, there's just one group coaching day available at the moment. That's with myself and England feeder team manager Dean Barlow, and that is actually this Friday, and that's on the River Trent, which is a very popular river now. The Angling Trust Feeder National Championships is taking place on the River Trent this year. There's also the final round of the Feeder Masters Super League, which is taking place on there in a few weeks' time. So, it's a great opportunity for anybody who wants to see how somebody like Dean Barlow grew up on the river, how he would feed a fish on the River Trent, or obviously a river like that. So there are a couple of places left on that. I've just put a link there for you, but that is actually this Friday. Okay, so before we go into, let me just have a quick check, and then I'm going to start going through some of the video projects that I've got over the next 8 weeks for you. Jack, think we need a little match against the Winning Ways boys. Everybody's so busy, Jack. You know, it'd be nice to do collaborations like that. You know, but you know, unfortunately, the funny thing is that when you look at some of the other YouTube channels, like the ones in America, like the Bass Fishing Lads, you know, they are, you know, a lot of them do collaborations and they get together and all that sort of stuff. Whereas in England, certainly the channels that I'm not involved with, but the channels that I know of, nobody wants to do any collaborations, you know, and the only people that do want to do collaborations, it's never a two-way thing. It's always one of them that can do it or wants to do it and the other one doesn't. Or in my case, I've just been too busy to do any collaborations, you know, and if your channel's doing all right anyway, then, you know, you just kind of get into that bubble, like the Winning Ways lads. Obviously, that's a three-way thing. That's Richard Chapman, Andy May, and Jamie Hughes. They're so busy in their own lives and their matches, and Andy's doing coaching as well, and then they have to get together on the bank and film. It's almost impossible to get, you know, to get together. But yeah, I mean, things like that would be really interesting, wouldn't they? Martin, Jamie, quick question: what is a better lit or light feeder rod? The Matrix Horizon Pro Slim or the Preston Superior SL? I'll be absolutely honest with you. I mean, I love the Pro Slim, and you're going to expect me to say that anyway because it's a Matrix rod. I haven't really used the Superior SL. I have seen it, and a few people that I've been out coaching with, they have actually had that rod, and it looks a really nice rod. The only thing that springs to mind there, Martin, is the price difference. I don't know what the price difference is. The Matrix Horizon Pro Slim is an absolutely fantastic rod. It's my favourite rod for that style of fishing. But it doesn't fit everyone's budget. It's a little bit high for most people's budget. And I think that might be why the people that I've been out with have gone for the Superior SL, because it's a cheaper rod. It's not a cheap rod, but it's a cheaper rod. I think. I'm not 100% sure. Without going on the Preston website and all that and having a look, which I'm not going to do now, obviously, because I don't want to ruin your live stream. But the Preston Superior SL will do the job. I know it will, because I've seen people do it. But obviously, you know, the Horizon Pro Slim is such a it's a fantastic. It's a top end rod. It's a top end rod, you know. But like I say, it doesn't fit everybody's budget. But that's why Matrix have now brought in the other rods that are cheaper than that in the other ranges to suit everyone's pocket, you know. And they're all great rods. I've actually got 3 or 4 here to try that I'm going to be trying on YouTube. I want to go out and show people that, you know, they're fantastic rods. They really are good. If you are looking for rods in that certain price range, you know, they will do the job fantastically. You know, they're really nice rods. And if you want me to do anything like that, please let me know. You know, the trouble with doing tattle reviews or showing off tattle like that, when you are a consultant for a company like I am, people inevitably expect you to be biased towards that product. And I totally get that. But I've got a lot of people like yourselves out there, subscribers and viewers to this channel, that they are genuinely interested. Not that I'm using a Matrix rod, but they want to know why I've picked that rod when there are 8 others in the Matrix range. You know, they want to know why I've made that selection. You know, and to a lot of people, that's where the value is, and that is to me. You know, I do that with some of the top lads that I know. You know, when they've got a rod, I question all the time what they're doing. You know, not because I want to go out and buy that rod. It's because, why have they picked that rod for that job? Why are they using that rod when they're fishing for roach? But I saw them fishing for bream 2 weeks earlier, and they had a completely different rod. That's where I think there's value. So if you want to see me do anything like that on these new range of rods and the bits and bobs that I'm using, please let me know. So before I go into any more on here, I just want to quickly go into some of. I've actually got my diary here, and it looks, to be honest, for the last 12 months, it looks like I'm sponsored by Tipex. Because there's been that many things that have been changing, getting cancelled, brought forward, you know, and obviously all the repercussions from COVID. You know, we're still rolling over some of the coaching days now that have been booked in for 2 and 3 years. But you know, I don't like to just cancel things. I like to accommodate people. You know, if somebody's reached out for me or to me for a one-to-one coaching day because they genuinely want some help or just to kind of a bit of advice or whatever, then, you know, I want to honour that wherever I can. So yesterday was round 3 of the Feeder Masters Super League, and that was at Car Mill Dam. And we had an horrendous round 2. That was at LARFORD Lakes. You know, I'm sure you all heard the stories about how that went. To cut a long story short, we went off to Carmill Dam, and we ended up winning the round, which is absolutely fantastic. To win a round on just 13 points in the company that we were in on such a difficult dam, it was absolutely fantastic. So after round 1, we were in 4th. We had a big hit at LARFORD, so we actually dropped right the way down to 8th place, which was horrendous. But yesterday, because we pulled it back and we had such a good result, we are now up to 3rd. So we are now in 3rd place in the league of 15 teams. 3rd place with just 1 round to go. It's very, very tight. I think we're about 8 points behind Preston, who are in 2nd. And I don't know how many points we are behind Ringer Bates. We might be 15 or maybe 20 points, between 15 and 20 points behind Ringer Bates. Going into the last round, which is at Burton Joyce on the River Trent. And so, as you can expect, with the Feeder National Championship being on there as well, with the next round and final round of the Feeder Masters Super League being on the River Trent, for all you river anglers, you are going to be seeing me fishing on rivers as well this summer. It's not something I got a chance to do last summer. So a lot of the videos that are going to be coming out, I am going to be fishing on rivers. I'm going to be fishing for small fish, fishing for big fish as well. I'm going to be doing some float fishing with the stick, the waggler. And not only am I going to be doing that, I am going to be selecting venues and different stretches that are of interest to you. And I might be setting myself 1 or 2 little challenges as well, so I can film them for you, like trying to catch a barbel of a certain size, or try and catch a big fish on a certain bait, or pick a ridiculously snaggy swim or a difficult swim, just for an extra little bit of interest. And it makes it interesting for me to film as well. So those are the sorts of river videos that you've got coming over the next few weeks. I'm really looking forward to filming those for you. So I'm going to be letting you know about that fourth round of the Super League. And just for your interest, there are 15 teams in that league now. This year they brought in a new system, or a new format, and that basically is that the top 10 out of the 15 teams of that league actually fish a 2-day final. It's actually a fish off. It's a 2-day final, and that actually takes place at Rudyard Lake. And that's going to be very interesting. So obviously we're in 3rd place at the moment. Our main aim was to make sure that we got into that 2-day final. We're in 3rd. So obviously we need to avoid any sort of a disaster on the River Trent. And so that's why we are going to be putting some time in on there. And obviously it'd be great to win another round and finish on a win. So I'm going to be showing you a lot of that sort of thing. Now that's going forward 4 weeks. Okay, so however, in between there, we've got the group coaching day on Friday. That's at Burton Joyce. I'll do a little bit of filming on that for you. That will probably go over onto the Fishing Life channel. If you haven't seen that channel, please check it out. That is the one that I personally think at the moment is probably giving a little bit more value to people like yourself, to viewers, because it's rough and ready. It's very uncut. The whole thing is filmed off my phone. And the reason for that channel, just to explain why that channel exists, is because when I'm staying away in hotels, when I'm away on competitions, when I'm on events, there are some big events that I just cannot film because I can't devote enough time preparing my cameras, setting up tripods and all that business, because my mind is just completely 100% focused on that event. It means that before the match, I can quickly do a snippet on here to show you the swim, show you the peg, tell you about what I expect, tell you about what my approach will be. And then straight after the match, I can give you a download on the phone as well and tell you how it went, what worked, what didn't, who's caught near me, where did I make a pig's ear of it, and show you the results as well. And quite often I show you the presentation as well. And because it's all done from that, that means that when I then travel to my hotel to digs for the night, whilst I'm there, I have a shower, have something to eat, I can actually edit that video on here and upload it that same evening. So it's my way of giving you almost real-time, same-day fishing experiences of what I'm actually connected with, So that really, the Fishing Life channel fills in the gaps from when I'm not able to produce nice, polished videos and films for this channel. Okay, so rather than me go 2, 3, 4 weeks without producing a really nice video on here for you, by being connected and subscribed to the Fishing Live channel, you can still get those snippets of experiences that I really love sharing with you, and more often than not, vast majority of the time, that is actually uploaded the same day. So if you are into match fishing, if you are wanting to see how results are panning out, you get that in video format, not just a Facebook post. You get in a video format, which gives you more value, and you bang up to speed on how it's fished because you've had it uploaded that day. So that is what that channel is all about. Okay. Now, thank you to everybody who subscribed to that already. It was very much an experimental channel, and it's one that seems to be working, and lots of people like it. It's coming up to 5,000 subscribers, which in the very short space of time it's actually existed, I'm very, very grateful for. And I'm just putting in the chat there now is a link direct to that Fishing Life channel, so that you can get your daily fix of when I'm too busy to produce polished content. You're getting raw, real life videos there. Okay, so that really takes us up to the next couple of weeks. Before I go on to the next 4 or 5 weeks, I'm just going to check in with 1 or 2 people that's taken the trouble out to log on and put in the chat for me. Martin, yeah, we've answered that on question. I hope that answers that about the superior, Martin. Steve Norbury, the discomfort was worth it with the win. Starting my Bow Beach campaign this coming Sunday. Yeah, good luck, Steve. Yeah, it was great to see you at BARSTON last week, mate. Thanks very much for that, mate. Terry Oscroft, hi, Jamie. Nice to be back. Thanks, Terry. Thank you for joining us, mate. GSC Angling. Hi, Jamie. Been catching on the pole in this early stage of the river season, but struggling on the feeder. Seems like the fish don't want to be on the bottom. Any solutions? Yeah, I mean, the key times when a feeder would succeed over a pole on a river or a float is for 2 reasons, really, to keep it basic. One of them is if the fish are out of range of a pole or out of range from what you can fish with a float. And the other obvious one is if they are preferring a static bait, a bait that is dead still. They're the key reasons why I would select a feeder over a float. However, say, for example, it was a feeder only competition, then you can't use a pole or a float. Then what we'd have to do is obviously see what species we're after. If you're after bream, obviously more often than not, the bream are down on the deck. So you'd want some sort of a static bait, caster, chopworm, ground bait, depending on the condition of the river. And if you are targeting dace and roach, then, the obvious way really is to fish with longer hook lengths. Your feeder's going to go straight to the bottom, but then you might have a hook length of 1 meter, even 2 meters sometimes. And that will certainly get you bites from fish that are up in the water. The only downside to that is that sometimes with a long hook length like that, that will mean that you're going to be missing bites. So what you might find is that once you start getting bites on a long hook length, once you start getting bites, if you're hooking the fish, obviously carry on doing what you're doing. But if you are missing bites, just gradually start shortening that hook length. And quite often you'll find that optimum length where you'll still be getting bites, but you'll be hitting most of them as well. So it's very much trial and error, and that's different on every occasion. But yeah, roach and dace, if that's what you're targeting, can be difficult to catch on rivers like that. So maybe that's the solution for you. Michael, do you like Daiwa kit? Do you think it is overpriced? I haven't obviously used Daiwa kit for a number of years. I had 2 or 3 Daiwa rods before I joined Matrix 8 years. I think it's 8 years ago or 7 years ago now. I had 2 or 3 Daiwa rods. They were brilliant. They weren't high-end rods. A lot of people say that Daiwa kit is overpriced. I used 2 or 3. I think they were in the Team Daiwa range. And they were the rods that I used to win a couple of festivals and start winning matches where I actually got picked up and approached by Matrix. So that, I think, proves, obviously, that for that style of fishing I was doing, I was using 60, 78. I think they were 60, 70 or 80 quid rods, something like that. So I think a lot of people think the top end Daiwa tackle is overpriced, but I haven't really looked at the Daiwa kit for a long time, but I'm sure they've got mid-range tackle, I'm sure. So no, I mean, overpriced tackle, generally, if you're paying a lot of money for tackle, it generally means the quality is better, simple as that. So if you do want something that's high-end, something that may have got better bearings in it, if it's a reel, or better design features that makes it's going to last longer, it might be smoother, then if that's the price for that, then that's the price you pay, But, I mean, there's still a video on YouTube of me. It was the first video I ever did. Joe Carras at Match Fishing Films actually produced it. I just turned up and fished, and that was just before I went to Matrix and Bait Tech. And have a look at that video. It's called Feeder Fishing for Bream, I think it's called. It's at SOUTHFIELD Reservoir. And I don't think I've got any bit of kit that's got the same name on it. You know, I think I've got, I'm using Preston reels, Mava rods, a Colmic seat box, Guru feeders. There was some Matrix kit in there. I think it might have been Matrix braid. You know, and that's because, you know, I just used what did the job for me. I didn't care. I was never a tattle tart, ever. You know, I came from a background in a circle of people where if a rod doesn't do a job, but it says Daiwa on it, I'm not just going to keep the rod because it says Daiwa on it. I needed it to do the job. And the rods that I were using were mid-range rods. In fact, a couple of them might have been lower than that, but they did the job, and I didn't care. You know, I had 2 Reeve seat boxes, I had 2 Daiwa seat boxes, a couple of match boxes. I went through some like 8 seat boxes in 2 years, trying to find one that suited me, and I eventually settled on one that was a Colmic box. It was made of plastic, and it cost about £220, I think it was. You know, because at that time it did everything I wanted it to do. And you know, I don't know too many people like that now. Everybody seems to be a little bit obsessed with having everything brand matching brand. You know, I've literally offered to give a rod away to someone, a perfectly great rod, and they've turned it down. They've said, no, it's all right. I'm going to go out and buy one for 200 quid because that one's Matrix. It's not so-and-so. And all my kit is so-and-so. And that's fine. I know there's people out there like that. And obviously people in the tattle industry love people like that. But for me as an angler, trying to get results and trying to have tattle that does the job for me, it didn't matter to me. And I don't know that many people now. But obviously I'm going back 8-9 years. A lot of things have changed since then. John Dickey's here. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us, mate. Jay, hi Jamie. Just started fishing again after 14 years and got my kids going. We had second outing yesterday. Fantastic, Jay. Brilliant to hear it. I'm hearing so many people having a break of. That's quite a common number of years. I think that must be because wives get pregnant, kids come along, and that must be like the average sort of time period for kids to go through all that, and then the kids are just getting old enough, and parents want them to get into something, so they go, I don't know, let's go fishing again. So that must be why that's a common number of years for people to be out of the sport. All new carbon technologies that come into rods, poles always come at a premium. Yep, that's it. Craig Kelly's here. Sean Elliott. I 3 Matrix Aquas rods in 3 different lengths and casting weights, and they're brilliant, Jamie. That's nice to hear that, Sean. It's great that we've now got, you know, I said we, Matrix, we've got rods to suit just about everybody's pocket now. It does make the range and choice a little bit more complicated. I get a lot more questions now than I used to. When I first joined Matrix, I only really used 3 rods, you know, and they covered everything. That was it, you know, whereas now there are lots of rods. So it can make decision making a little bit more difficult because there are more options. But I think it's nice to have that choice, you know, and don't be afraid to ask people for advice, you know, especially on the bank. You know, if you see rods and stuff, it's a bit of a minefield, particularly to the newcomer to the sport. So another quick catch up on what we've got coming on here. I'm going to be on the River Trent. I have also got individual feeder masters qualifiers coming up that I'm going to be sharing with you. There is one at Carmill Dam. I've also got a ticket for the Gloucester Canal as well. I've also got a double header as the feeder masters qualifier at Staunton Harold, which is I haven't been there yet this year, and that could possibly be the first time I've been there. They had one of their first matches yesterday. Fished very, very well. And the following day, I've actually got a feeder masters ticket for Patsall Park, which is a stunning venue, beautiful venue. So I'm going to be sharing those with you predominantly on the Fishing Live channel because some of these matches, they can be quite hectic and it's difficult for me to film them as a live match film. So, you know, there will be Fishing Live videos on there. So make sure you subscribe to that channel so that you see my vlog updates and you get to see them on the same day as well. I'm out with Matrix a couple of times as well. I have also I forgot about this. We've actually got our match fishing channel match. Now, this is the match that lots of you will already know. I know some of you are members to the match fishing channel. That's my membership channel. I put 2 matches on every year for them. And I don't know if there are any places left. That's on the 23rd of July. So that's coming up. I'm looking forward to that. I think there are 50 anglers booked on that. So that's going to be great to see everybody in person. You know, lots of things what we do now are obviously online. And the reason why I put those 2 matches on is so I can meet the members and shake their hands and just have a chat and a laugh and hopefully catch a few fish. It just makes it a little bit more interactive, a little bit more personal. And it's just my way of saying thank you for being members to that channel. So we are looking forward to that. There might be a couple of places left on that. I'm not quite sure without checking. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those people have become friends now, and they've almost made it their own little club. But if anybody wants to see that channel, I've just put a link to it in the chat for you so you can get involved. We will be having a winter match as well coming up, obviously, when it cools down a little bit. But that match fishing channel match is at Barston Lakes. We've managed to get Barston in July on a weekend day, like gold dust. And shortly after that, we've got the 4th round of the Feeder Masters Burton Joyce match, and then I've got another Feeder Masters at Carmill. So as regards the actual filming for this channel, we've got the river videos coming up, so that I've got some of those scheduled in. I've also got a trip to Europe as well. So I'm going to be filming a full trip for you. I'm actually away for 10 days. I'm going to be over in mainland Europe doing some very, very different fishing. But I'm going to be fishing venues, or a particular venue that is, it's more suited to specimen fishing. However, I'm going to be tackling it with beefed up match tackle. I'm really looking forward to that. I've got some heavy feeder rods that we would use on flooded rivers. I'm going to be beefing up a lot of the kit that I use, and just seeing if I can land some of the big, powerful wild fish there. And I think it's going to throw up a few surprises as well, because as you know, with lots of venues in mainland Europe, particularly on the rivers, there are fish there that don't get fished for if it's only predominantly fished for by carp anglers, specimen carp anglers, or people fishing for catfish. There are other fish there. There are some huge roach there, and some other species that I think, if I'm going to be fishing in a beefed up kind of coarse match fishing style, with baits like sweet corn and things like that, I think it's going to throw up some surprises. I'm pretty sure. So that's a 10-day trip that I've already got scheduled in for the beginning of August. So I'm going to be filming the whole of that trip for you. I've been going through the schedule today. One of the venue is going to be, it's actually a 10-hour drive from Calais in France, and I'm going to be filming the fishing there for you. I'm going to be showing you the accommodation, the venue, but I am also going to do a spin-off video regarding the actual cost of traveling over there, because this is where I really love to give value wherever I possibly can on this channel. You know, I think it's important to be realistic about how expensive it can actually be, or how cheap it can be to travel to some of these venues. All right, you know, and I know lots of people benefit from that. Okay, and I've literally just broken down the schedule today, so I know what day I'm leaving, where we're going to be stopping overnight, where we're crossing, and all that sort of stuff. So I will be doing a spin-off video about that for you, so you not only get the fishing, but you'll also get to see the place I'm staying and how we got there and what kind of money's involved. You know, there are lots of people out there that would love to go on some of these trips, just like the Iberian Masters that we go on every March. It's nice to know what these trips cost, but I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. Okay. Shortly after that, we've got the Feeder Masters Super League final at Rudyard Lake, 2 days final. And also I'm going to be sharing some of that with you as well. We will be having some practice sessions on there. And if anybody would like to see some kind of behind the scenes kind of stuff, you know, as regards how we prepare for these events, then please let me know either in the chat now or underneath this video. Okay, and then this again is going back to the river side of things. I'm actually fishing a 3-day river festival. Really looking forward to this. I haven't had a chance to fish it for the last 3 or 4 years. I just haven't had the opportunity, but I finally got the opportunity to this time, and I'm not going to shake it off. I'm definitely going to be going. So it's a 3-day river festival, and I'm obviously going to be sharing that with you, albeit maybe not as a film. I'm going to try and do it as a film for this channel, but if not, then I will be doing it for the Fishing Life YouTube channel, so that you're going to get to see the daily updates of how I'm getting on through that competition and what the fishing's like and all that sort of thing. So there's a hell of a lot already in place there, but in between all the things that I've talked about, there are lots and lots and lots of gaps, and those gaps are where I'm going to be out filming session videos for this channel. There are so many session videos that I want to film for you on a variety of different venues, and I've also got 2 or 3 bits of equipment down here, which is something that I mentioned a few weeks ago, and it's something that I've invested quite heavily in, to be fair, financially. So I need it to work, or I need to at least start using it, because that's been the biggest problem. I just haven't had a chance to get out there and to use some of this equipment, and that is all of the, if I can get hold of it, all of the underwater filming cameras. All right, I've got 3 cameras down here, various different styles to be used in different ways. And these are where I'm going to be filming my underwater filming. Now, the reason why I'm going to do some underwater filming, I've got it all in place. I've got the equipment now. I've got everything in place. I've got the video schedules ready. However, the only reason why I haven't executed them yet is because I haven't had the time to go out there and film them. So everything's done, everything's prepped. And the two key reasons why I'm doing this, firstly, is to obviously see how fish behave underwater. And I'm not going to be trying to do it in too much of a stale environment. I want to keep it as wild as possible and as natural as possible. So we're going to be seeing how fish behave underwater in various different scenarios. All right. And so, you know, I think most people will find that of interest. And secondly, the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to show some facts about what is actually happening underwater. Now, by that, I don't necessarily mean fish behavior, because there is a little bit of a grey area there, which I will mention in a moment. But the facts that I really want to show you, I want to show you how your rigs are actually working underwater. You know, lots of people talk about, you know, you've seen obviously the Matrix Submerged series, which is on the Fish Matrix YouTube channel, right here on YouTube. You know, that's free to watch to anybody, and I know lots of you have seen that. I was actually in the first one, and it actually shows you a lot of what's happening underwater. But I want to take that a step further and just kind of have a look at some other things about what is actually happening underwater as regards the way that your rig is performing. You know, because there are lots of opinions out there about what is actually happening. It'd be nice to see factually what is actually happening. Okay, so that is where the underwater filming is going to come in, and that is going to be getting going within the next 8 weeks. Okay, I'm going to start filming that within the next 2 weeks, and then I will be starting to roll it out from there. So obviously, if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure you subscribe to this channel, so because a lot of them are going to be ad hoc, and I know what's going to happen with that. Whilst I've got videos that are films that are scheduled in a format, I'm going to start doing this. As you can imagine, we are filming nature, and just like when you are filming nature, just like you might be filming out in the wild, in the woods or whatever, unexpected things are going to happen. You know, you're going to see things that you didn't expect. Something's going to happen along the way, or at various points along the way that we didn't expect, or there's going to be a surprise there, and that will inevitably lead to other videos. It will lead to other videos where I will be showing these things. So obviously, if you subscribe to this channel, you know about it. You're going to get a notification. Okay, so that's a very exciting project that, you know, I have been working on, but I've been working on it in the planning stage and purchasing the equipment. You know, it is ready to go. Just I haven't had time to get out on the bank and execute it. So that is also a biggie that's going to be coming over the next few weeks. So let me just have a quick go through the scroll here. And the other thing as well that's in there is that within the next 2 days, I think it is, you're going to be getting the opportunity to see our next online course. The ones that are already out there, lots of you enjoyed the winter commercial course. Okay, the winter commercial course is basically, it's a video course that shows you how you can fish commercials in winter, but with rod and reel tactics. That one is actually a 42 video course. Okay, and I know lots of you have enjoyed that and learned so much from it, because I love your feedback. Thank you. I'll just put a link to that actually in the chat. Now, that is obviously the winter edition. I'm now getting to the completion stage of filming the summer edition for you that I know lots of people have been waiting for. That inevitably involves all of the summer tactics, like your pellet waggler and all that sort of thing, fishing shallow, but it's all rod and line. You know, there are lots of people out there that don't want to spend spend money on 8 pints of casters and wave a 60-meter pole around, slapping and tapping and all that business. You know, and there are people that aren't physically able to do that. The people that can't afford a pole that price, you know. So for those people, that is why I brought this rod and line tactics summer course out for you, because you can compete on certain venues. You've got to pick your venues right, obviously. You can compete on rod and line tactics, you know, and that's what that course is all about. So you will be able to pre-order that at a discount within the next couple of days. I will be advertising that in the next 2 days. And there will be a discount if you want to order it in advance. Okay, so let me have a quick look at, I'll put a link to the winter one there. And there are other courses on there as well. We've just filmed one with Dean Barlow, bream fishing. Everything you need to know about bream fishing. No frills, No fancy music. It's about the facts. And I've had so many questions from people that have enjoyed those courses, like the beginner course, the advanced course, because it saved them so much more money. Because right at the outset, they've known exactly what rods and reels to buy for their chosen venue. You know, so they haven't wasted money. And I've had some fantastic messages, which I never thought about, to be honest. You know, it meant they haven't bought tackle that doesn't do the job. By taking those courses, they've gone out and made the right purchase straight away. So it saved them a lot of time, money, and effort, and frustration. So yeah, they're all on that website that I've just put a link to there. But you can get that through the catchfishingchannel.co.uk website. So who else is here? Where do we get to? Thanks for that, Sean, about the rods. Thank you. Jack Wilmot, the Matrix kit is brilliant. I love it. Both you and Jamie Hughes defo talked me into it, and I'm glad you did. I don't like to talk anyone into anything, Jack. I just tell them what I'm using and why, and people make their own mind up, you know. A mid-range rod now, or like a top-end rod 10 years ago? Exactly. There's very little bad tattle out there, you know, and no matter what brand it is, even the cheaper end stuff now is a lot of it's far better than some of the high-end stuff a few years ago, which is great. I think it's brilliant. Stephen Armstrong, hi Steve. Would you ever consider restarting your groundbait series, but obviously focusing on the entire sonar range? Stephen, you know, there are certain things that, you know, certain situations that I could put myself in, and obviously through experience now, I am very, very careful. In answer to your question, yes, I would love to continue the groundbait series. But obviously, I would only be showing the sonar baits ground baits because I'm obviously a consultant for sonar baits. So if anybody would find that interesting, please let me know. But I wouldn't do it just like across the whole range. I want to give it some value. I don't want it to be a sales pitch. And the only way I could give it real value is to show you the mixes that I've been using for the last 6 months. All right, since I signed for sonar baits, I have used sonar baits since I first got back into fishing 10 years ago. Some of the first one or two of the first big matches I won was actually using sonar baits, you know, because we you know, we're constantly aware of the mixes that are out there. So the best way I could give value to that, Stephen, would be to show you the mixes that I've been using over the last 6 months and why I use a certain ground bait at, say, Tamar, whereas if I go on the River Don, I use a different mix, you know, and that I think is where I can give best value. To tell you more about why I pick those mixes, not what they are. So please let me know, anybody, what you think to that. Because I don't want to waste my time when I could be spending time doing a video that you'll find much more interesting on that day. So just let me know. Carl Rance, hi Jamie, see you Friday. Yes, Carl, looking forward to it, mate. It was great to see you last week, and I have just emailed everybody who was coming on Friday to the River Trent. I have emailed you all. So if you haven't received it, Carl, please check your junk email box, please, mate. But I have emailed everybody. Jack Wilmot, 3 pieces of corn on a hair rig with the plastic corn hair stop. I couldn't stop catching 6 to 7 pound bream on the Trent the other year. Wow. I wouldn't mind a bit of that, Jack. I'll tell you when I'm there. Craig Kelly, like your show, Jamie. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Maro's here. Good evening, mate. I didn't realise you was here. Hi. When will the new bream fishing course be available? It will be available, Maro, as soon as I've finished it. It's been filmed. It's already filmed. I was out 2 weeks ago with Dean filming that, and it's going to be definitely within the next 2 weeks. Okay, I don't want to rush it, Maro. You know, because when I put these courses together, I want them to over and above what people expect. You know. So yeah, within the next 2 weeks, Maro, and obviously within the next 2 days, the commercial one. Not that one's going to be of interest to you, I know that, not from where you are, where you live. But yes, and just a word on those courses. Some of you have purchased the courses and enrolled on them, which is great. I am going to be adding extra lessons into the courses. So by that, I basically mean that the first course I ever brought out was the beginner's course, which went down really, really well because, as you can expect, most people needing any help with their fishing and stuff, it is going to be at the beginner level, you know, or the level that they are just starting at, you know. And I'll put a link to that course here for you. And the reason why I mention that is because that course was done probably 2 years ago. 1 or 2 things have changed in those 2 years. We are now doing things slightly different. And so I will be updating lessons as time changes or as our fishing changes. So those courses are going to be constantly up to date. I can just either overwrite a course if it's out of date, take it out, and I can add new ones in. So if you did enroll on the beginner course, for example, when I put a new lesson in there, which I've just put a new lesson together on that course, all about knots, the different types of knots that we use, then you will automatically get access to that new video, you know, just part of your enrollment. So they're constantly going to be updated. So in answer to that, Maro, within the next 2 weeks, mate. Terry, seen you down at Farm Park a few weeks ago. You won't pegs 26, 27 for Wagler. Yes, was that for the match, was it, Terry? Yeah, there were a few things on that match that I could have done very, very differently, and I couldn't for one or two reasons that I'll explain to you when I see you down there next. But yeah, if it's the live match that I did with Matrix, there were 2 or 3 things that I wanted to do differently, but I couldn't. But I'll explain that to you, Terry. But that's live match fishing, you know, that's what it is. Jay, have you ever fished the River Dearne, Jamie? Went on the 16th, had 5 big bream out in a 3-hour session. I don't think I have. No, I have seen various different stretches of the Dearne, and it's not far from me, as you know. So no. What stretch was that at, Jay? Was it a free stretch? If you can let me know where that is, please, mate. I mean, a lot of things with rivers is just knowing where you can get down and where you can fish, you know, especially on a day ticket. Ian's here. Hi, Ian. Hope you're okay, mate. Craig, hi, Jamie. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. Dean Bayliss is here. Hi, Dean. You all right, mate? Hi, mate. Great content as always. Thank you, Dean. I didn't realise you were watching. Same to you too, mate. I know you're producing quite a bit of Facebook content, and I know you've got your nice little following. They like your videos, so keep all that going, mate. Mark Teal, best place to buy Matrix gear, please, Jamie. It depends where you are, mate, Mark. You know, there are some people in certain areas that don't have a Matrix stockist near them, so inevitably, lots of people end up getting tattle online. I can only really talk about the tattle shops that I know. Obviously, I'm a Sheffielder, so Wickersley Angling stock a lot of Matrix tackle. Billy Clark in Sheffield stocks a lot of Matrix tackle. And then the other one that I know of, I don't know about Bobco, Lee Tattle. Lee Tattle stocks a lot of Matrix tattle. Other than that, I would need to go looking. Like I say, they're really only the tattle shops that I go in. I don't go in Lee Tattle very often. I have been in there, but Wickersley and Billy Clark's, obviously, you know, I don't want to come across as though I'm promoting their shops, but because they're the only shops I go in, they're the only ones that I know that have got good stock. So, but there must be loads out there, but you can find that out on the internet. And most shops do mail order anyway, if you haven't got one near you. Aston Park Fisheries, they've got lots of Matrix tattle. That's just outside Sheffield as well. I know people that travel from the Midlands up to Aston Park and Wickersley. You know, obviously they've got to go up the M1, but for that extra little bit of mileage, they can go and get everything in one go, and they actually walk out with it. They don't have to wait for it, you know, like getting it online. So I'm seeing more and more of that. Certain people that take their fishing tattle seriously, or they know exactly what they want. You know, it's like it's the way of the world. They don't want to wait 2 or 3 days to get it. You know, if somebody stocks it and they're sending it out by a carrier, they'd rather just get in the car or the van and just drive up the motorway and go and get it. And inevitably, when you go to a stockist like that, you find the rod that you want, but then you might walk out with other bits and bobs as well. So, you know, it can save a lot of time and hassle just to travel a little bit, but it depends where you are, Mark. But those are the shops that I really know that have got good stocks. I've got the Aquas Ultra times 70 gram, and it's one of the best feeder rods I've had for small fish and bream. That's brilliant. I don't think I've used that one. Or have I? No, I haven't. It's the XR range that I've been looking at recently. But that's good to know. That's brilliant to hear, especially at that price. Paul Thomason. Hi, Paul. Hi, Jamie. Any news on the fishing at Underbank? Is it still a no-go area? Paul, I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've got it in writing from the... oh, crikey. Who is it now? You've got to keep getting the names of the organisations right, haven't you? British Waterways? Is it? I think it is, isn't it? I've got an email from them saying, Mr. Harrison, fishing is not allowed at Underbank and Reservoir. So, you know, I've got it in black and white on an email, and that's it. I actually, the signs are still up saying you can't fish, but I actually drove past Underbank yesterday on my way to and from Carmill over the Pennines, and there were 3 cars parked in the lay-by at Underbank, and I would probably bet my house that all 3 of those people were actually fishing. So I know that there are people fishing it, you know, and you know that's fine. That's their choice. But I won't be fishing it. You know, even if I wanted to have a sneaky session on there, it is in writing in black and white that they have told me I can't fish it. So I'm not that stupid. So There are people fishing it, but the official word is you still can't fish it. But I know people are. I'm going to leave that with you, Paul. It's such a shame. Stephen, hi, Stephen, all right, mate? Hi, Jamie, hope you and Terry are in good. Yes, we're very well, thank you, Stephen. Thanks for joining us, mate. Tattle UK are good on price. Yes, Tattle UK. I know they stock Matrix, but I don't know what their stocking levels are like. But yes, they stock it. That's for Mark Teal, by the way. Thanks for that. Very excited. Love the Matrix underwater videos. Good. I think we all learn from those, don't we? Tony Price is here. Hi, Tony. Hi, Tony. Bernie Davis. Good evening, Bernie. Hope you're all right, mate. Loved the underwater series. It was a revelation not only for you, but for us mere mortals. It was a WTF moment. Yeah, there were a couple of things in that video that we kind of half knew or thought we knew were happening, and it did confirm it, And I'll be honest with you, there were a couple of things in that video that I would have loved to have kept secret. But that's the match angler in me, I know there are I could name one very, very big angler who developed a particular hook for his brand, and he didn't want to release it. He wanted to keep it for himself because it was so good, and that things like that happen a lot, But yeah, really interesting. And I'm hoping, obviously, my series is going to give as much value and as much insight as that one did. Hi, Jamie. This is a weird one. Been watching a lot of shore beach casting fishing rigs. Do you think that we could adapt some for coarse fishing? I don't think these... I'm not quite sure where we would improve rigs now, to be honest, because what happens is, we have found developments around rigs and we found some fantastic rigs. But here in England, certainly, what tends to happen is that half of the time you're that restricted with fishery rules that, you find a rig that works and then it goes and gets banned, or they decide for some reason it can't be used anymore. So you end up going back to a rig that isn't as efficient as what you'd like it to be, but your hands are tied, and that's the situation that we're at now with fisheries and stuff. So I'm not quite sure we could handle any more rigs, to be fair, but it'd be interesting to see some of those rigs. Specifically thinking the puller rigs they use could be amazing for long distance fishing. Possibly. I'm not that familiar with them, with pulley rigs. I do apologise. It's not a branch of the sport that I've ever really gone into. And the only time I've ever been sea fishing is normally when I'm on holiday, off the coast of Miami, and I'm drinking a beer on the top deck, not really cared whether we're going to catch anything or not. We're just having a day trip and we're on holiday. But yeah, and a few harbour visits when I was a kid. But no, I've never really got into that. Sorry, I can't really comment on them rigs. I don't know. Tony Price, have you had time to look into when you used the bait and hook rod that was stocked up the same but landed at a different distance? Have you had time to look into when you used the bait and hook rod? I think is that referring to the one at Kingsbury Water Park, one of the last submerged videos that we did with the bait and hook rod? Is that the one? I think the key issue there was we were using mono as opposed to braid, was it? I think that was the issue. I'd have to revisit that. I'll be absolutely honest with you, Tony. So much has happened since then. Obviously, with some of this underwater stuff I've been trying to do and other stuff. I think that's what you mean, Tony. But I haven't. No, I haven't had a chance to go into that yet. But I'll be interested to hear if any of you have. Yeah, I don't know about. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about all those sea rigs. I do apologise. Right, let me just have a quick look in the chat. As regards the actual filming schedule, like I said, we've got the underwater stuff going off. There are lots of session videos. What I would ask from you, if you don't mind, is what kind of session videos would you like to see? One of the most recent, or the most recent one that I did was fishing the method feeder with meat. Went down really, really well. That kind of thing. If you want to see something a little bit different, even if it's me trying something out that I haven't tried before, a different bait or something, please let me know, because I only want to produce content that you want to see. So if there are any interesting session videos that you'd like me to produce, please let me know. Right, let's the chat keeps jumping. Bernie Davis, Jamie, are there any plans for your good self and Mr. Barlow to do a 2-day tuition match up north? I would be there like a shot. it's a very interesting one, Bernie. You know, and it's. I don't want to sound like this is not a sales pitch by any means. It's not, because what everything that myself and Dean do, it's not just about earning a few quid. You know, we are literally gutted if somebody goes home from one of our sessions and they haven't benefited from it. You know, we didn't realize we'd take it so personally. We didn't realize how much we actually care. It caught me by surprise. And so, yeah, I mean, basically what Bernie's referring to is that every now and then, certainly every year, we have a group coaching day where we split 14 anglers into 2 teams of 7. Both teams of 7 compete against each other. All right. One's team Barlow, one's team Harrison. All right. Now, what they actually get out of that is that for the week or the few days leading up to that event, we're going through a plan. You have a team plan. So you get an insight into how myself or Dean structure a match plan based on what you know about the venue. It's based on lots of things, how the venue's fishing, but we also take into account the level of angler that the candidate or the client is. You know, some people that come on our group days have just started fishing again. Some anglers have been fishing for 30 years and just want to brush up on skills. So you've got to take that into account. So you have a few days of putting a plan together, but then where this actually really kicks in, this experience, is you start the match and you're fishing against the angler next to you, which is an angler off the opposing team. What you actually get out of this is your live matchmaking decision making. It's your decision making. All right. You can't preempt what's going to happen. You can have an idea. So you have a starting match, and obviously, as soon as that match starts, you're going to know if you're going to need to tweak your plan. You're going to know if it's working right. You're going to know if it's working good enough. You're going to know what you might need to do next. You're going to know what you're going to need to change. Because if you're getting beat by the angler at the next peg, you're going to have to make changes. It could be your feeding, your range, your distance, even targeting a different species. You might have to pick another rod up. And that is where both myself and Dean are on the bank throughout that match, helping you make those decisions and letting you know where you are. And so if it's a group coaching day where you get the experience of formulating a match plan, but you also get the experience of live match management. And that is where this is slightly different. We don't know if anyone's ever done this before, but we've done this a few times now. It's been very popular. And, Bernie's basically asking if can we do one further up north, on a venue further north. The answer to that, Bernie, is that those days are demand driven. If nobody asks for them, or it doesn't seem like anybody wants them, or there's only 3 or 4 people, then we can't do them, obviously. But if there was enough demand and more people wanted it, then yeah, of course, we could run one up further north. Okay. And we've already talked about changes for next year. It's my job to look after the business and admin side of these days. And one of the things we're going to do is this year's challenge, which was only last week, was a 2-day competition. We're going to drop it down to 1 day for next year. So the Catch Fishing Channel Cup is a 1-day competition for next year. And I might even get that booked early. I might even get it booked now so that I can put it on the website so people can start, can just reserve the place. But I want to open it up to do more throughout the year if people want to do them, because you can't get that anywhere else, that live match situation. Even if you book a 1-to-1 day with myself or Dean or any of the other brilliant coaches that are out there, you're not getting that live match management, live match experience. You're not, and so I think it's invaluable to the people that want to learn that sort of thing. So in answer to your question, Bernie, if there's demand for it, if people want us to do more of those days, then yes, definitely, mate. Sorry if that was a long-winded answer. Aren't the puller rigs very similar to the helicopter rig? I don't know about those rigs. I'm sorry, I don't know. Very interested in the sonar baits, ground bait stuff. Brilliant. Okay, like I say, I'll just show you the mixes that I've been using, but more importantly, why, the qualities of the ground bait and the scenario why we would pick them. And I'll show you in the tank as well about how they perform in the tank underwater. I mean, how good it is, how you both praise the tattle, and you're right, it's brill. No, you got to be honest. Got to be honest in this world, haven't we? I forgot you were sponsored by Sono. No, that's all right. You will do. Well, I don't want you to forget I'm sponsored by Sono, but what a lot of people don't know is that a lot of people now obviously know that Jamie Hughes is sponsored by Sonar Baits. I actually signed for Sonar Baits the very same day as Jamie Hughes, the very same day. But I decided, and I told Matrix and Sono that I didn't want to make a big song and dance about it, that just switched over to sauna baits and got into my role as a sauna baits consultant. That is why a lot of people still don't know. You know, a lot of people know now, but I just didn't make a big song and dance about it. There was no big video, and I'm pleased to announce and all that, because I just didn't want to do that. So that's why, you know. Hi Jamie, how are you? Who's that? Somebody just checked in, I think. Craig Kelly, thank you, mate. Right, Bernie Davis, the beginner's course was amazing and really helped introduce me to feeder fishing, and I think I'm doing okay now. Yes, you are, Bernie, brilliant. But thank you for sharing that about the course. The reviews have been great on it, thank you. Ian, had Matrix discontinued their distance sticks or any in the pipeline for the future? Great question, Ian. Yeah, well, it's not so much the distance sticks that they've discontinued the hold all that came with the smart mark system, which was the 2 distance sticks with the straps that you've seen me use. Yes, that's discontinued. In case you're wondering, I was told by Matrix, or the Matrix brand manager, that they were discontinued because of lack of demand. Apparently, not many people used the sticks or wanted the hold all for the sticks. You know, well, that's obviously based on their feedback. I know lots of people that love the sticks, they liked them. Some no, we haven't got any, but I was told 6 months ago that there were some in the pipeline, but I've got a feeling that they're not priority. But I will find out, because I want to know myself. Because if we're not bringing any out, I'm going to bring some out for the Catch Fishing channel. So there we go. Jay, River Dern, free stretch near Pastures Lodge. Oh yeah, I know it. Park in Nature Reserve car park, cross road and walk up. Water outlet. Fantastic. Thanks for that, Jay. I didn't know that. I do know that stretch there, though. I do know Pastures Lodge, near the canal as well, and the River Don. So, yeah, thank you for that, mate. That really helps. Paul Thompson, thanks for the info on Underbank, Jamie. Looks like damn fast then. Well, it's up to you, Paul. Like I say, I don't think anyone's going round Underbank and collaring people, otherwise they won't keep fishing it. You know, but it's sod's law, isn't it? The first time you go, you'll probably get confronted. Right, where are we at? Sean Elliott's here. Hiya, Sean. Have you ever thought about using a zig rig on the feeder, Jamie, when fish are shallow, using a block end feeder and sloppy ground bait, Jamie? Yes, Sean, it's something that we looked into a few years ago. I used to get messages from some of the carp, Fox International, the specimen carp lads, saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've just sat at Barston and caught 3 carp all day in July. We were there yesterday and we caught 9 million carp with zig rigs. Why aren't you using zig rigs? The simple reason is that, yes, we can fish with a zig rig. Yes, we can pop a bait up. But the key reason and the key element to fishing over zig rigs is spotting bait over the top. You know, keeping that bait falling through the water. And that's when the carp ultimately picks up that bait off the bottom. We can't do that in matches. You know, we can't feed over the top. We can't loose feed with a catapult. We can't spot over the top. So you just can't make it work. We've tried it years ago. And I know there's some big name anglers out there that have tried it a lot more than me years ago, 3 years ago. They just can't make it work, unfortunately. So, no, we're not allowed to use that key element of feeding over the top, sadly. Stuart Neville, May. Hi, Stuart. Hope you're okay. Hope you've recovered from last week, mate. Evening, Jamie. Just got in and logged on. Thanks for joining us. James Dickey, love to see you do a stick float session. No worries, mate. There's one on its way. It's already planned in. Jay, silly question. Hair rigs, can you still use them for baits on hook, or do you put everything on the band? Other than pellets, found it hard to get things in the hair rig. I do know 1 or 2 people. I don't do it so much, Jay. I try and get around it because I don't want to mask the hook in any way. But I do know people what, for example, they will put a bait on actually on the hair, and then they might put 2 dead reds actually mounted on the hook as well. So it's like a cocktail. I do know people that use that and catch doing that as well. I don't do it because I don't like to. I like to avoid masking the hook in any way. You know, for me, one of the key elements to a hair rig is quite simply having the hook exposed. You know, but that's me personally. But I do know people what do that and have some success with it. Ricky Beach, hi Jamie. Been on 2 coaching days with you and Dean and feel my fishing has improved 100%. Thanks, Ricky. It was great to see you, mate. You know, last week, brilliant. It's great to hear. You know, I know you don't really go match fishing, but it's great to see you working on your game. And you had some big fish as well, didn't you? And the sausage roll was amazing. Thank you. Ian Campbell, evening, Jamie. Hope you're well, mate. Yes, thank you. Jack Wilmot seemed really weird for me. I asked Mark Pitchers on the Fox live stream page about Matrix catapults, seeing how come there aren't any yet, and within about a month or two, they came out. Yeah, well, I mean, those catapults, they've been working on them for at least 2 years, might even be 3 years, and Jamie Hughes has been out there testing them. So they should be good, and they are good. I've been using mine now for a few weeks, and I've got some spare elastics coming as well. But yeah, I mean, they're great. I haven't used them loads and loads because I've been in mainly feeder matches. But when I have used them, they've been great so far, and they haven't shown any signs of perishing. But like I say, I haven't used them loads and loads of times. But yeah, it's good that when you take the time to produce a product, it's great that they have ended up producing a good product. So that's good. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is. What's that, Jack Wilmot? I'm not having it, Jamie. They was my idea. It was stolen. There we go. All right, and Jack. Well, maybe they'll send you a royalty check, mate. See if you can get on commission. Keith Harrison, evening, Jamie. Can you recommend a good catch fishing medal display cabinet thing? No, I can't. No, you'll not need one. It depends what team you're on, Keith. That's what that is. That's all that is, mate. Keith was on the winning team last week. Dean Barlow, his team and his anglers actually got on the scoreboard. They actually won. They actually won one for a change. So yeah, you've got to keep the manager happy, haven't you? You can't keep keeping a clean sheet and wiping the floor with him every year because he'll get upset, won't he? But it depends what team you're on, Keith. All right. But thanks for joining us. I'm just about to log off actually, but yeah, thanks anyway. Jack Wilmot, glad they have some. I will let this one go. Okay, mate. Well, there's, like I say, what I've actually outlined is actually what's in the diary. What isn't in here are all the session videos. So there's going to be some really interesting session videos using some different baits and some very interesting swims, some very interesting pegs and very interesting scenarios, trying to catch some very interesting fish. And like I say, we've got the trip over to the 10-day trip over to Europe. That is going to be fantastic. And to be honest, a lot of it is completely unknown to me. So I'm not going to know what's going to be coming on a lot of that, but I will be filming that as a full film for you for this catch fishing channel, for this platform. So I'm going to go now and finish off a little bit more scheduling. I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody for logging on tonight. It really does make it much more enjoyable and interactive when you take the trouble out. And we've had a really good number on tonight to say this was unannounced or virtually unannounced. So thanks very much for that. And don't forget, if you want to join us on Friday on the River Trent and see how Dean Barlow tackles faster flowing rivers like that, then hopefully, there are still some places left. But yeah, and in 2 days' time, which will be on Wednesday, that is when you will be able to pre-order at a discount the summer commercial rod and line course, which is going to be my best one yet. It really is, trust me. And I've enjoyed filming it so far. So that is it. I'm going to log off now. I'm just going to go on. I'm out coaching tomorrow, one-to-one coaching day tomorrow. So I'm just going to go and pack my bag for that. And hopefully we're going to catch a few fish then. And I will be checking in with you in a couple of days' time, just letting you know what's happening and stuff. So thank you to everybody who's been on tonight. Really enjoy it, hanging out with you. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. And enjoy your week. Please stay safe and well. And I hope to see some of you on the bank real soon. Yeah, it's really appreciated. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.